You still think that Donald Trump means it when he says with that pledge that he's going to remain a Republican? I guess it depends on how the Republicans treat him, but he did sign the pledge, so he is staying in the GOP fold. But former Ross Perot campaign manager Russell Venery says regardless, waging a third-party battle is a tough one, and it's an uphill battle at that. Russell, you and I were just sort of catching up during the break there that in the case of Ross Perot, he got 19% of the vote, which was staggering, but not a single electoral vote. So even when you succeed immensely, as he did as a third-party candidate, getting the electoral vote and then getting people to think that you can win it all, that's tough.
It's very tough, Neil, and the system is really fixed on behalf of the two political parties that nominate their candidates and
that's by design,
all the rules, and then they have that private commission on presidential debates that decides who can be seen by the public and whose views can be heard by the public. So it's a very tough road. If Donald Trump or anyone else wanted to do a third party, they have to really be spring-loaded and ready to launch it by the first week of March of 2016.
Why that?
That's the immediately after the Texas primary, presidential primary. You can't start till the day after in Texas. You've got to be on the ground collecting signatures because Texas is a very difficult state to petition. Then you can manage all of the others, but it's a expensive proposition. Probably be about $15 million for somebody to do a.
That's lunch money to him.
For him, for others, it might be a huge undertaking to raise $15 million. But it's a big undertaking. It requires thousands of people all across the country to take clipboards out with petitions on them and say, will you sign a petition?
All right, so in other words, even if Trump is dissatisfied with the way it's treated or whatever goes into his decision now to remain a Republican, if he waits till the convention, it's too late.
It's much too late. No, whoever wants to be an independent candidate has to launch that campaign in March to get the ballot status to be on the November ballot. Now, there are other political parties that they could go through, such as the Libertarian Party, but they will probably have their own candidate determined long before then.
They have their own conventional methodology to achieve that. But you mentioned something interesting when it came to Ross Perot, that even with 90% of the vote, which was staggering considering he dropped out and came back into the race, when people were asked, would you vote for him if you thought he had a chance? In other words, the numbers would have been much higher.
The exit polling that was conducted by the news services, voter research services in 1992, asked people that voted for Bush and Clinton, if you thought Perot had a chance to win, would you have voted for him? And the analysis of that question is that if people thought Ross Perot could win in 1992, he would have actually won the election. And that's after having got out because of the wedding and other circumstances.
I remember that.
And getting back in. So if people thought he could win, he would have won. So the opportunity for Donald Trump, if he goes independent or any other third-party candidate independent, is actually there to win. It's just they have to have a strategy to overcome that wasted vote.
And the American people have to be of the opinion that it is not a waste this time.
Correct.
And you have to be invited to debates. John Anderson found that problematic, right?
It is problematic, but I think we now know going in that the Republican and Democratic chairmen that control those debates are not going to allow a third party in. So you have to build a strategy to offset that.
To bypass them. But Abraham Lincoln started out as essentially an extra party, new party candidate, right?
Correct. He coming out of Ripon, the founding of the Republican Party back then.
But you need a time and a moment.
Yes, and the time and the moment is here, the money. It's just whether or not somebody has the ambition to go against the system. As we've seen Donald Trump's support rise so quickly, is because he's the anti-establishment candidate. That's there in spades for somebody who wants to take advantage of it.
Wow. Russell, you made history, young man. Remember that. Russell Venery's not aged a day since. It's amazing how he does that.